to Bad Larry.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Bad Larry Kingdom. I'm your host, Bad Larry, and today we are reviewing X Factor number 38, part 31 of our Inferno saga. This issue is dated March of 1989, written and drawn by the married duo of Louise and Walter Simonson. We have been getting spoiled in these last two episodes, as this issue is another double issue. 40 drawn pages, people! Big time! But y'all know what we have to do first. Rate that cover! I gave this cover 100% rating. It's perfect. I mean, come on. Jean Grey going toe-to-toe with basically her half-naked naughty clone. The colors, the angles. You can't tell me if you walked into a comic store in 1989 and this was on the shelf next to another comic, this cover wouldn't be screaming at you to pick it up. Yeah, exactly. The title of this issue is Duet. In the last episode, the X-Men and X-Factor defeated an Oster, but faffed about, allowing the Goblin Queen to lasso up Marvel Girl and take her captive. We all know the Goblin Queen has seething hatred for Jean Grey because she knows now that she's a copy, the clone, the knockoff, and she's a real hater. Even though Oster is gone, Goblin Queen is still planning to continue the demonic and ritual sacrifice of her and Cyclops' son to complete the Limbo Bridge to Earth, cause she's a naughty evil bitch. Art-wise for this issue, I can tell Walt Simonson was feeling the pressure. This issue is 40 drawn pages, and this first page feels like not his best work. Havoc's head looks too small, Marvel Girl slumped over, the energy effect that has her all tied up. It all feels like unfinished sketches. Even the Goblin Queen's face seems rushed. Not to mention the goblin demons in the background. I typically love Walt's art and will give him a bit of a pass on some of these not so great pages, knowing that he's had a deadline and lots of pages to put out. The Goblin Queen is totally loco! She is willing to kill her own son because she feels jilted because Cyclops rejoined X Factor, because he followed his passion as a mutant superhero leader, and now Goblin Queen is blaming all of her problems on him, Jean Grey, and X Factor. She takes no responsibility for anything, just blaming others for her own actions. The heroes try and convince her that the baby's just an innocent victim, but Goblin Queen ain't having it. You can't reason with her, not with this type of psychosis and crazy. She justifies it with a smile. The art on this page is off. The Wolverine looks too big, too tall, I mean. Colossus looks too small and cartoony with too big of hands. Iceman also looks too big. The Beast's proportions are all off as well. But I enjoy the lower panels. The up-close art, Goblin Queen looks crazy hot. And I really like the Wolverine's tattered costume. But let me know down in the comments what you think of this art style in this book. Goblin Queen is a real psychopath. She cozied up to the X-Men after Cyclops went to form X-Factor, intentionally using them to get close to Havoc and turn him evil just because she wanted to get back at Cyclops. The X-Men tell her to give it up. Oster is defeated and his demons were sucked back into limbo. Goblin Queen laughs, says she got her own demons. She is the Queen of Goblins by name right. She draws out the demon in humans. She makes her own demon goblins who are her minions, so she doesn't give one flip about Oster. Cyclops tries to plead with Goblin Queen, willing to sacrifice himself and save everyone else. But again, Goblin Queen laughs at him, says she's going to destroy him and everyone else. Why not? And who's going to stop her? The Goblin Queen is making everyone cattywampus, like newborn fawns stumbling around the uneven forest floor, tripping, stumbling, and bumbling all over themselves. The Goblin Queen's demonic presence and energy causes the X-Men and X-Factor to lose focus. The enemy is the Goblin Queen, but they succumb to her influences and start battling each other. This page is fairly important. Way back in X-Men number 201, Cyclops and Storm battled each other for the title of leader of the X-Men. As we know and see, Storm won that battle and title, causing Cyclops to then leave the X-Men in humiliation. Goblin Queen is stating here that she was the catalyst of it all, and she caused Cyclops to lose influence in the battle, allowing Cyclops to move away and then begin a relationship with her. That sneaky, manipulative hussy! And now Goblin Queen is back at it, causing Cyclops and Storm to battle it out again. Cyclops is trying to talk some sense into Storm, stating that Storm has been reading fake news. That was even a thing back in 1989. That was being controlled and manipulated by Goblin Queen to create division between X-Men and X-Factor. See, people, the game plan is and has always been the same. It's so easy when the news is all controlled by the same 5 or 6 companies. They spin whatever story they want, blatant lies, and then the people fall for it and become divided when the real enemy is those who spin the fake news in the first place. Cyclops tries to take out Goblin Queen with a powerful optic blast, but the cold, heartless, evil Goblin Queen uses Jean Grey's dad as a demon shield. Man, this lady is cold-blooded. It looks like Storm has finally come to her senses and launches a powerful lightning attack against Goblin Queen, doing absolutely 0 damage. Goblin Queen is just seemingly untouchable, her power too great. She then uses her manipulation powers of vanity to trick Dazzler and Longshot into attacking Archangel. It is almost too easy for Goblin Queen. She is having fun at this point, playing with her food. In a state of weakness, Goblin Queen pounces on the mentally vulnerable Archangel, twisting his mind and turning him into one of her simps. Ah, the powers of a scantily clad, green-eyed, naughty redhead. Archangel never stood a chance against her. Goblin Queen is really using the power of hate and evil as her fuel, which is why she is so strong. It's like the Goblin Queen has the ultraviolet power ring, the red power ring, and the orange power ring all in one. Cyclops has a shot on Goblin Queen. Storm tells him not to hold back, but he just can't deliver a kill shot. She still is the mother of his son, even though she has shown to be a manipulative, evil temptress. Cyclops' shot misses, and Archangel is fighting with everything he has to not fully succumb to Goblin Queen's influences. Goblin Queen is growing tired of this tete-a-tete and orders her simp Havoc to bring her Cyclops' heart, which he jumps to like the good little house monkey he is. If you were unawares, Havoc's plasma blasts do not hurt or affect Cyclops the same way the other way. Cyclops' optic blasts do not hurt or affect Havoc, as they are brothers and their powers are null and void against each other. But that doesn't stop Havoc from blasting away at Cyclops, and in the battle fray, Storm must save both Dazzler and Longshot, who are off in La La Land under Goblin Queen's influences. Archangel proves to be quite heroic here. He's being overtaken by Goblin Queen's hypnotic, demonic manipulations, but launches himself into the power bomb that is holding Marvel Girl captive, freeing her, but knocking himself out in the process. The disruption of power also releases the Wolverine from his trance, and he goes gnarly against Goblin Queen's demons. Even though Storm saved Dazzler and Longshot, they are still under hypnosis, and Dazzler takes a shot at Storm, but Rogue takes the shot instead, falling to the ground but saved by Iceman. Storm puts Longshot in the spin cycle while Havoc and Cyclops square up, go mano a mano, toe to toe, brother versus brother, Chad versus Simp, and in a hand-to-hand combat, I will always favor Cyclops as the better. Man, Goblin Queen has no chill. She has an excuse for everything. Marvel Girl pleads with her to not kill the baby. It is unnatural for a mother to do so. Goblin Queen responds that there is nothing natural about her, which is true. She is a clone test tube baby, an experiment of Mr. Sinister's who's gone way off the reservation, and not only that, She is immensely powerful from the benefits of Noster's power upgrade. As the Marvel Girl tries to use her telekinesis to launch a rocket, Goblin Queen, this evil witch uses her own baby as a human shield and laughs. Goblin Queen has a real identity crisis, stating that everyone in the world is so unique like a snowflake, except her. She feels betrayed by nature, I guess, for being a genetic clone to Jean Grey and starting her life out as an adult, having no childhood or real memories of her own. Even though she is a mutant person, I think she just feels like an alien with no real connection to humanity or mutant kind or anything on Earth, which is why she's so accepting of a demonic takeover of Earth. She really just doesn't care about anyone, just getting revenge on Jean Grey, Cyclops, and anyone who gets in her way. As Jean Grey and Madelyne Pryor bicker about who's had a tougher life, Jean being cloned by the Phoenix and put in a box under the ocean and then coming back to life without her telepathic powers, only to find out she was double cloned, with Madelyne being her genetic carbon copy and also mothering a child with the man she loves. And then Madelyne with her last name Pryor, literally symbolizing she has a prior version of her, which is Jean Grey. Her own name is a slap in her face. All the while, the X-Men and X-Factor, who are in their right minds, are trying to get at the two vivacious redheads, but cannot bypass the powerful force field being generated by Goblin Queen. Meanwhile, Havoc appears to have the advantage over Cyclops. Remember, Archangel's wings have a mind of their own sometimes, and the wings launch some razor darts at Havoc just as Cyclops kicks him in the face. The blades mess with Havoc's neural pathways, and as he falls, he lets off a plasma blast, causing both him and Cyclops to fall. Cyclops clearly does some free soloing, clinging to the mountainside with apparent ease, while his brother falls to his doom. But wait! The hideously deformed Archangel swoops in and saves Havoc, who is knocked out from the neural effects of Archangel's wing blades. Now we are getting into the real meat and potatoes here, folks. Marvel Girl versus Goblin Queen, with no interference. The alluring gingers are trying to get into each other's heads. So it appears the entirety of Madelyne Pryor's existence isn't totally Mr. Sinister's doing. The Phoenix Force had a big part in the creation of Madelyne Pryor as well. When the Phoenix Force saved Jean Grey by placing her in the box under the sea, I guess it didn't know there was a clone out there, Mr. Sinister's creation. When the Phoenix Force itself made a clone of Jean Grey, it took a piece of her, Jean Grey, with it. When the Phoenix Force looked to return the portion it stole from Jean Grey rejected it, along with the Phoenix Force. And it looks like the Phoenix Force, which was locked into Jean Grey's unique DNA, found Madelyne Pryor instead, as they are genetically identical, and gave that portion to Madelyne Pryor, also waking her up from the induced slumber caused by Mr. Sinister. The X-Men and X-Factor try and come up with a plan to break through the telekinetic force field encasing both Jean and Madelyne, but it's a doozy of a force field. The X-Men and X-Factor give everything they have to attack the force field, but Goblin Queen merely laughs at their attempts. She's too powerful, because now we know she has that little bit of Phoenix Force power in her, along with the power gifted to her from the Oster. How is Jean going to overcome Madelyne? They are genetically the same, but it seems like Madelyne is leagues above her because she has that Phoenix power that Jean rejected. The Wolverine convinces the now awakened Havoc to help out, even though Havoc is reluctant, and both Cyclops and Havoc agree that they don't want to kill Madelyne, but also agree that she needs to be stopped. Madelyne Pryor was created by Mr. Sinister for one reason, to make a baby with Cyclops, and then hand that baby over to him. Mr. Sinister didn't account for the Phoenix Force interfering, though, as the love for Cyclops was amplified as it was felt from the Phoenix and from the memories and feelings for Cyclops from being a copy of Jean. Marvel Girl tries to tell Goblin Queen that Cyclops never abandoned her. Once he found out Jean was alive, he went back to Madelyne and his son, but by that time both had left and Mr. Sinister covered up the entire existence of Madelyne or the baby from ever even existing. This page is super important. We finally find out where Madelyne had gone off to. Mr. Sinister forced Cyclops' grandparents to sell the air freight business to him, and then Sinister offered a huge sum of money for Madelyne to fly some stuff to San Francisco, the amount of money being so big that Madelyne couldn't refuse. Madelyne decided to take her son with her, which was actually Sinister's doing, his influence to have her take the boy, and when they landed, Mr. Sinister sent his marauder team to kill her and take the baby back to Sinister. Well, Madelyne defended herself with Jean Grey's powers. Powers she never even realized she had or even used before. In the aftermath, in the haze, she joined up with the X-Men, doing what they were doing, living a life with them and the baby. She gave it up. Remember, folks, it was in the orphanage in Nebraska, in the test tube, rescued by both Cyclops and Marvel Girl. Anyway, Madelyne had such deep love for Cyclops that when she felt he abandoned her, that huge love became an empty hole and was filled in with hate and a desire for revenge. Outside the force field, Psylocke tries to motivate Longshot to find the one lucky weak point in the force field. I learned in this issue that his luck powers depend on his motivational level, his attitude. He can only be lucky if he is truly motivated for the outcome and is in a good, happy mood. Pretty cool. Anyway, Longshot, I think, finds the weak point in the force field. And the Power Blasters, Havoc, Cyclops, and Dazzler all attack that same point Longshot threw his little blade at. Goblin Queen is starting to struggle. She's getting the pressure sweats. Everyone is against her now, even her simp Havoc. Goblin Queen tells of her manipulating the computer, feeding fake news to the X-Men regarding X-Factor, so the teams would try and destroy each other when they met up, which almost worked, all to get revenge against Cyclops for his supposed betrayal and the hatred for Marvel Girl as well. Marvel Girl has sympathy for Goblin Queen and tells her that let's let bygones be bygones. Start new, fresh. All can be forgiven. They could be friends. Figure out a new life together in peace. But Goblin Queen ain't having it. She rejects Marvel Girl's olive branch. Finally, the X-Men and X-Factor break through the force field, only for Goblin Queen to toss her little baby son Nathan Christopher into the air like you toss a ball to a dog. Luckily, Cyclops is right on time, catches his son in his arms as he crashes downward, and the Goblin Queen has gone full kamikaze mode. She's willing to kill everyone, herself included, to kill off Cyclops, the baby, and Marvel Girl. She is psycho, people. Watch out for those fiery redheads. They be holding grudges the hardest. As Goblin Queen's power looks to destroy everything in sight, Marvel Girl and the other heroes do what they can to mitigate the damage of the debris, try and save themselves and the surrounding area from Goblin Queen's destructive fury. Goblin Queen is pissed. Her attack failed. Now she is focusing her attack specifically on Marvel Girl, dragging them both into the darkness of death. But the Phoenix Force is released from Goblin Queen. It's back, baby! And you know what team the Phoenix Force is on? Team Jean Grey, baby. But there is a contract to be had. Jean must accept back the Phoenix Force in order to save both her and Madelyne from death. What choice can Jean Grey truly make? Can she reject, really, the Phoenix again and allow both her and Madelyne to both die? Well, Jean Grey doesn't even really think twice. The Phoenix Force was kind of always part of her, so she accepts it back like, what the hell else am I going to do? Restoring Jean Grey fully and returning everything back to kind of normal. The demons are gone in an instant. The Empire State Building goes back to normal. Jean Grey's parents transform back into humans. And the baby is safe and alive. Cyclops tries to apologize and rationalize why he married Madelyne, but Jean forgives him. Heck, if the Phoenix Force was fooled by Madelyne, it's kind of a pass that Cyclops was fooled as well. Cyclops makes a good point about people's individuality. Even though Madelyne was genetically identical to Jean Grey, Cyclops realized that after a while that the intangible things that made Jean Grey so special, especially to him and their love, well, Madelyne never really had those things. So, be yourself, people. There is one and only one you out there. You were made divinely in the image of God, a unique creation, a one of one. No one can be you except you. This page is where Beast officially gives Warren Worthington III the name Archangel. I know I've been calling him that the entire time, but technically he was Death or Dark Angel. But now, officially, he is Archangel. Not everyone is walking away happy as a clam, though. Longshot seems out of sorts, and Havoc is way off into self-deprecating depression. As tempers flare, Jean Grey tells everyone that the blame game is of no help, and the one true enemy to them all is that evil Mr. Sinister and his Marauders. They are the ones who truly deserve the blame, and it looks like the X-Men and X-Factor are going to team up like the FBI and CIA and confront that pale-faced vampire teeth-having force of evil together in the next episode, Uncanny X-Men number 243. I rated this issue 100%, an A+. It was long, so you felt like you got more than your money's worth. The story answered a lot of questions regarding Madelyne Pryor and Jean Grey. We saw Jean Grey restored and reunited with the Phoenix Force. Cyclops' son was saved. There were cool battle scenes. It was perfect. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Hit that like button, subscribe so you never miss an episode, and be good to one another. Don't trust FEMA or the Red Cross. Peace.